there's nothing new under the sun, and certainly nothing new for Texas Power Ups, right? So good morning. Last Texas Power Up of the year. I know we start every year and we think we have such a long runway, and then here we are. We're wrapping it up, and next year we get to start again at a different starting block, right? And so everything that we learned this year, we've all worked really, really hard. So everything we learned this year just puts us ahead of where we started earlier this year. So that is always good. Let's go ahead and start with gratitude and wins or shout outs. You know the drill. Pop your hand up and I will call on you. Think about, with this being the end of the year, who do you want to shout out? What kind of wins do you want to share? What gratitude do you want to share? And while you're thinking about it, I could share a couple. Because I can see you're thinking. It's early in the morning. You may not even have had your coffee. I want to go ahead and shout out Daniel Weiser on our Austin team. He led our script mastery power up and our morning time block wrap up this week. Just definitely showing the value of leaders only and teamwork, especially while mornings are rough for me right now with a little baby on the way. I want to shout out Andrea on our team here in Austin. She's helping several new agents, and she's always in the office. She's just bouncing around, helping people with their questions, just showing up as a leader and showing up just with teamwork, all while just handling a monster business. So super, super love that. Shout out to Mary, our director of operations, who had a baby. We're very, very excited for her. Baby number 3. We now have 3 under 3 in that house. So if you think you got it hard, just imagine you could have 3 under 3 right now at home. So excited for her. Michael, good morning, sir. All the way from Midland.
Yeah, good morning. This morning, I want to shout out my team. Within the last month, maybe month and a half, we have gone through a lot of changes. And I just want to thank them, give them gratitude for sticking by us and sticking by me while I'm learning everything that I'm needing to learn. And then I also wanted to give a shout out to Allie for putting together the productivity professionals space. I look forward to all that change that's coming with that.
Love that. And shout out to you, Michael. You are definitely stepping up in a different role, and sometimes the role you start with expands, and you are such a great example of, how long have you been here? 3 years, or am I?
2.5 years I've been with KT Midland.
I remember you as a baby, and now you are a grown man at Place. It's super awesome. So happy that you're here, Michael. Way to go, and go team Midland. I love that. Love that. Santa Claus, good morning.
Santa Claus, good morning.
Oh, Santa Claus. It's so early, I can't even read.
I had to tell my own joke. No. Hey, so just shout out and gratitude for 2 people on the team. First, Matt, our operations coordinator. Just shout out to him for grit and just working through it this year. This is his first year with us in our operations department. He's kicking ass with that. And he's also getting ready to implement a bunch of new things that we've been talking about for a couple months now. So he's staying busy and getting it all done with Cy on the back end. And then the second shout out to Kaylee. She hit her first year on the team last month in November, and she's just like really pouring it on into 2023. And she had a pretty solid year for first year agent, a lot of growth, production, obviously, but she's pulling through, and it's fun to watch. It's exciting to see what's going to happen next year.
Man, I love that. Go Matt and go Kaylee. Awesome. Valencia, I see your hand up, and you know what's funny? I was going to give you and Jordan a shout out next, because I see that you guys are teaching a lot. You guys are using this time in the shifted market to really get out there and help agents. And I've been seeing it all over social media, and I think that's really great. So shout out to you and Jordan, just getting out there and like getting it done and being of service to others. So really appreciate that about you guys. But I'll let you take the floor now with your gratitude.
Yeah, thanks so much, Adelina. I want to give a shout out to Elle. She does all of our marketing in our Facebook group for our play space, Be Real. So it's everywhere and she makes it look so sexy and sophisticated. I absolutely love it, how well she makes us look. And a shout out to Bart. Unfortunately, I'm just teasing. I want to shout out Bart because he is putting together all of our teaching curriculum where we have agents come into the office and putting together a lot of value to continue to pour out to other agents. So good job, Bart.
Yay, shout out Bart and Elle. That's awesome. Right on, right on. I have a couple quick shout outs for around production, and only because it inspires others to remember that it's out there, right? Maria and Ashley got a new buyer, $750,000 buyer from open houses. So if, you know, somehow you fell off the open house wagon, no judgment, just get back on. Buyers are out there and it's right there. It's now business. And Daniel Weiser took a seller 1.25 million from canceled listings. So if you have gotten off the expired and canceled and withdrawn wagon, no problem, get back on. The business is there for you, right? I love that. Last shout out goes to Fatima on our team here in Austin. She brought food to the hospital for Mary, who just had the baby. And the reason I'm shouting that out, anybody can do that, right? But what I loved about it is she had remembered somewhere that Mary said she liked, and then she dropped it off without kudos, without limelight. I know she's probably like just dying right now that I'm even shouting her out, but it's something that like inspired me because it reminded me that there's the talk and then there's the walk, right? And walking the walk just feels different, right? I had posted a meme on Instagram earlier this week about critics and talkers and doers. And Fatima shows up in everything that she does as a doer, without the limelight, without a position, without anybody even noticing. And so I feel like, man, she's a good leader. She's a good friend. She's everything we want to be. And I wanted to recognize that this morning, especially in this holiday season, as we start to think about who we want to be next year. And some of those thoughts come into our head of like, okay, well, how do I like what I've done? What have I learned? Where do I go from here? So Fatima, thanks for inspiring us, for always doing good without ever needing a position to do good, needing somebody to just even shout you out. So love that. So thanks for hanging out with us for our very last one today of the year. We've got a cool dude. If you have never met Aaron Bean, first of all, cool name, Aaron. If you've never met Aaron, he is from Bellingham. I'm going to go ahead and spotlight him so that you can all see him. Boom, boom, boom. It is 6:30-ish, 6:40 right now in Bellingham. If you have never been on Pacific time during somebody else's central time, it sucks. So we're so appreciative of you. You had to wake up a little bit earlier than you probably wanted to. So this morning, guys, I wanted to talk to Aaron because I wanted to end the year on an inspiring note. And Aaron's somebody, when I had texted Jolene and Ben, and I was like, hey, who are some people that are inspiring right now in our organization? And they both said Aaron, which I thought, oh, okay. So Aaron, apparently Ben likes you. So that's always a good thing, sir.
News to me, but cool.
Yeah, right on. So thanks for hanging with us. Just to get us started, give us your background, kind of, where are you from? Like, what'd you do before real estate? Give us like your 5-minute backstory so that we can catch up with you.
Yeah, so I'm from Bellingham, from here where the hub team is, born and raised. And I went to college, thought I was going to be a cop at the time, got my criminal justice degree, decided that's not what I wanted to do. And then just kind of wandered around in the woods aimlessly for like 5 years until I realized I wasn't really going anywhere. And on the advice of a friend, I basically sold all my stuff and moved to Vietnam for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I lived in Vietnam, learned a lot about myself and the world and how to interact in it and et cetera, et cetera. And then moved back because my mom got sick and tried to find work, just doing whatever I could until my sister suggested I get into real estate. So there we go.
What was her reason for it? Why did she think you'd be good? Or did she think you'd be good?
That's what she says. Yeah, she actually worked at Redfin as PR. She wasn't an agent, so don't you know. And so she had interacted somewhat in the world before. I had no exposure at all to real estate. Like I had never thought about buying a house. It wasn't something I ever thought I could do, you know. And she was like, well, you're good at talking to people. Why don't you try real estate? And then like 4 months later, I was licensed and starting on the team.
Okay. So I love that. It's not like you grew up all your life, like, I can't wait to be a realtor.
Yeah.
And you didn't, you weren't even thinking about buying a home, which are like two really, like, most people either want to be a realtor or they want to be an entrepreneur of some kind, or they see, the wealth of building of real estate and they want to do that. And you're just like, no, I think I can talk to people.
I was never exposed to it, like I didn't know realtors growing up. I wasn't involved in that world at all. Like my parents had a house. That's all I really knew.
Love it.
So it wasn't like a priority for me, but I'm glad it worked out.
I love that. Have you achieved any goals or dreams in the last 4 years? Has it been 4 years now, or how long has it been?
Yeah, going on 5. I started May of 2018. So yeah.
So did you ever buy a house, or did you get anything done during this time?
Yeah, it'd be pretty silly of me if I didn't buy a house. Kind of not practicing what you preach, but yeah, I bought a house in October of 2020. Got a good deal on a flip that is now a house that I live in. And yeah, I would say that, and like earning a 6 figures in 1 year was not something I ever thought I was going to do. So hitting that, I think it was year 2 I did that, and then exceeding that now, like that's been probably the most mind-bending part of it for me, just the amount of income that you can generate through this industry.
Right on. So you got a house, got 6 figures, an awesome bar behind you. I mean, like, life
Yeah.
is
Sorry, it's just this is the most convenient place for me to do the Zoom. It's not like I hang out in the bar all the time.
No, I actually really love it. Like, this might be like the best backdrop we've had all year. So it is very holiday worthy. I think it's awesome. Love that. Where do you think you'll end up this year, production wise? Like, where's that going to be for you? And how does that compare to last year?
So last year I'd had 47 sides for about 21 million.
Okay.
And then this year I'm going to finish at 44 sides for 26 million. So
wow. Okay. So price went up.
Yeah, it helps that I had a $5.5 million sale. So that.
Oh, how'd you get that one? I don't think I heard about it.
Yeah, I wish there was some really cool secret technique I could share about how to get a $5.5 million sale, but realistically, it kind of fell in my lap. There was an agent referral that came in through Brivity, and I was the lucky one on the lead rotation that day. And so
I love about, like, I mean, let's talk about lucky, right? Like, I mean, you have to earn the spot to be on lead rotation. Harder you work, luckier you get. You got.
Yeah,
both.
that's true. Yeah, $5.5 million is the intersection of luck and hard work.
Yeah, I'm all about that. Okay, so you're going to end with 44 units, 27 million bucks this year. I'm sure the market is down in Bellingham, or is it up? Are you guys like the only market in the country that's like ahead this year?
No, yeah, I mean, since basically the middle of the year when the rates started to come up, we started to see a slight decline in prices. It's not been crazy, but I do feel like, like Ben and Chris have alluded to, it's gonna get worse going into next year because we have a very inflated market. When you're having 18 to 22% appreciation year over year for like 4 years, that kind of makes it tough.
That's a really good script. I hope everybody heard that. That what he said there. We have a very inflated market. Like, that's a really good like positioning, by the way, for your clients. Okay, so you started 2019-ish?
Yeah, May 2018.
Oh, 2018. Okay, great. Let me update my notes. Okay, so you started in 2018. Great. And you already bought a house by 2020. That was cool. So started in 2018, which was great because you got the opportunity to see everything before the market went haywire crazy. And then you went into crazy town market that just went nuts, that we just wrapped up. And now this market has thrown us for just another loop. And we're now detouring, going into a buyer's market. First of all, how are you dealing with this much change in such a short period of time with the market? And are you changing anything now that the market has shifted?
Yeah, so I think it was actually beneficial that I started when I did because it was still a good market back then. I'm sure a lot of people on the call remember 2018, 2019. Like it was a good market. It wasn't quite 2020, 2021, but it was good, you know. So I got to experience the time period where you still had to go out and you had to door knock, you had to circle prospect, you had to do the work in order to get the leads. It wasn't quite so easy where every single person you talked to wanted to buy a house. You know, when rates are 2.6%, everybody's trying to buy a house. So now that the rates are higher, it definitely changes the conversations that you have with people because you're going to talk to more people who are not quite as motivated. Maybe they're longer term nurturers. Maybe they're people that need a little bit more hand holding because they don't realize the different creative opportunities that we have that we can offer them to actually get them into a home. They just hear the doom and gloom on the news. So it's changed from being more like, you know, in the really hot times, hey, you want to buy a house? Cool, let's go meet up. Let's go write an offer. It's that easy, you know, not literally, but it's pretty easy. To now going back to having to be that consultant, that person who really nurtures them, who really guides them along and gets them ultimately to where they want to go.
I remember, I think I watched one of your Agents of Place or some training that you did for Place, and you seem to do really well at converting leads to appointments. Um, are there any strategies that you can share with us or examples of how you're getting those kind of results? Because that is a tough, especially in this market, it's a tough, it's almost like you got to jump, and it's a big jump. Take somebody from a lead to an appointment. Like, what's going on over there? What are you able to do, or what would you share with us?
Yeah, so obviously in our role, we use a lot of the language of sales, right?
Mhm.
That's the language that we speak on the phone. And I think during the really easy times, it can be a little bit too easy to just stick to that and not have your priority on actually providing a ton of value to the person you're talking to, because you're kind of just along for the ride as well as they are. Whereas now, I think coming to it with a real consultative approach, where even if somebody's 6 months out or 12 months out, whatever it is, offering them a lot of different opportunities that we can get creative to save them money, like with the 2-1 buy down, things like that. I think that is going to be making the difference between agents who are just hitting their head against the wall, keep trying to do what worked in the last couple of years, and shifting now to the mindset more of like, even no matter where this person is in their home ownership journey, how do I help them where they are right now and help get them a little bit further down the road? So I think it's more of a mindset shift.
Okay, so we do the mindset shift, and then if we do have, not if, because we went from like everybody wants to buy a house in the next 3 days to 3, 6, 9, 12 months later. Man, sometimes it's tough to remember, like, what is it that we need? How do we even follow up with these people to like keep them hot? For example, one of our agents has like 4 sellers that says 2023, they're going to sell in 2023, spring 2023. It's a condition, not an objection. We've already identified that. So like, how would you stay in touch with those people like until spring 2023?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, utilizing and leveraging Brevity to the best of its abilities. So one thing that we've tried to focus on is making sure that every single lead has a task set up, a recurring task, so that nobody falls through the cracks. And then one thing that I've tried to do a little bit more is call people more often than I feel comfortable with, which sounds a little bit weird, but in my head, I have this limiting belief like, oh, I can't call this person. I called them a month ago. They're like 6 months away. Why would I call them a month from now? But what I found is usually when I call those people, they're super appreciative. You know, a call a month is not going to bother them.
What would you say? So like, I guess, because that is it is a mind shift, because we do sometimes think we're bothering. So yeah, what would you say if you were calling somebody, that said they're 6 months out, and here you are calling them next month?
Yeah, I mean, there's always something of value that you can offer to them, whether it's a piece of market insight, hey, did you see what the rates are doing this week? Hey, did you hear about this new program that we just instituted where we can actually save you hundreds of dollars a month on your mortgage? Hey, I was looking at these 3 listings. They seemed like perfect fits for what you were looking for. When you're ready, would these match what you're going to be wanting to buy? Just to kind of stay in touch and be that person that's a constant factor in their life.
Love that. Those are really good, you guys. I hope you wrote them down. That was very smart. Those are smart calls, you guys. They're not, I'm checking in on you, right? Nobody wants to checking in on you call. Or maybe they do. I don't know. That would probably annoy me personally, but maybe the rest of y'all like check-in calls. But I really like those smart calls. Love, love, love. There was something I was listening to that an interview that you gave in the last couple of years. You talked about non-negotiables. Do you have non-negotiables? What are they?
Yeah, so I think most of what's on my calendar is non-negotiable, especially if it's a personal item, because any important any event that's important to me in my personal life, I make sure is on my calendar so I don't double book myself. There's certain things like Tuesday, I go and have dinner with my dad. Like that's non-negotiable. If there's somebody that wants to go see a house on Tuesday at 6:30, like, sorry, I'll have to have my showing specialist do it. I'm not doing it. I'm having dinner with my dad. So sticking to my calendar and really honoring that and respecting the time that I've set aside for my friends and family is a non-negotiable for me. In terms of business, being in the office from 9 to noon is a non-negotiable. I think there might be 1 or 2 days in the entire last year, business days in the last year, that I wasn't at a power up. Be it for, there was an inspection or something happened that I just had to be away. Other than that, every single day in the office, 9 to noon.
Why
Bare
is
minimum.
that? Why is that? Because you're almost 5 years in the business. It's not like you need, how to learn how to do LP Mama again. And you certainly probably have built decent, perhaps, discipline to work from home. What's your reason for that? How does it work in your mind?
Well, actually, you give me too much credit. I have very poor discipline when it comes to working from home. I mean, I'm sitting in front of a bar for Pete's sake. So I personally need to be in the office surrounded by other people who are going to keep me accountable in order to really hit my goals. But also I want to be an example for the other newer agents who are in the office. If they look and they say, oh yeah, you've been in the business 4 years, now you just sit at home in your PJs and make calls. What does that tell them? That tells them that it's easy or that they can just slack off. And then I see it all the time. The new agents who get a little bit of traction, feel like they got it, and then they start slacking off. And then their business just goes down that roller coaster. So I want to be an example for the other people in the office. And it also helps keep me accountable.
It's a really good insight because it's clearly working, having, 40 plus deals a year, guys, like you all know, it's not a walk in the park, right? Like, it's very possible. But there are success levers that we pull, right? It doesn't just happen because we get lucky. Love that. You did talk about you have a showing specialist. So kind of walk us through that. At what production level did you partner with a showing specialist? And maybe is there anything you've learned, any key lessons that you've learned during this process?
Yeah, so it was about halfway through the year. I would say I was probably at about 28 to 30 closings when I brought on the showing specialist. And to be honest, when Anthony brought it up to me, Anthony Zapata, I pushed back on it a little bit because I was like, look, I'm doing really well on my own. I don't really need anybody else. And I've had showing assistants that I've tried to work with in the past, and it didn't work out for various reasons. And so I think I had a little bit of a limiting belief, and there's like, well, do I have the leadership capabilities to really help somebody else also be successful rather than just using it as a luxury, like leverage versus luxury? Am I really going to utilize this to the best of my ability? And so that's been a learning process. I think being somebody who hasn't been in a distinct leadership role, except for like self-leadership, that's been sort of tough because I'm having to factor in what this other person wants, what they need, what their goals are, what their abilities are, not just me. So it's a blending of our mutual goals and abilities. And so that's been a learning process, but she's doing really great. Yeah, if you guys ever get to meet Nicole, she's a killer.
So Nicole and you merged your businesses, which is really exciting. And I saw that written somewhere that you guys decided to partner together, which I love how that's positioned for both parties. It makes her look like a rock star when she's going out on appointments with your clients. And for those who are thinking about a showing specialist in the new year, I love that you just told us, you're at 2830 homes before you did that this year, closed. What are her responsibilities like? What does that kind of look like? And how do you see your responsibility versus her responsibility? Because she's cool, you're cool. How do you not crash in each other's lanes, or do you what does that kind of look like?
Yeah, so I think hiring is a really, really important factor in it, not just picking the first person that seems like they're going to be good at the job. Because to be honest, that's what I failed at last time with the people that I hired last year. They seemed like they were a good fit, but I didn't really do enough digging to find out if they were going to have the grit, if they were going to have the work ethic, and if they were going to have the right mindset, because that ended up being an issue with the previous ones. But Nicole's been great. So she came to our team with the right mindset, the right personality, the right work ethic, because those aren't things that you can instill in somebody, right? They have to come from within. You can teach them, you can coach them, you can give them the tools, but if they don't have the work ethic, it's not going to work out. So she's got that. Her roles, she's basically she's my showing specialist, but she also does lead generation. So she comes in, she does lead gen with me from 9 to noon. She helps me call through my database. She's calling buyers in the database.
Okay. Got
Yep.
it.
And she does open houses. So she'll call through open house leads. She's on our Zillow line, so she gets Zillow calls. She does most of the work of a full-time agent,
Okay.
except she doesn't do any contracts and doesn't work with sellers, obviously.
Got it. And so then your job is to generate sellers?
Yeah. Yeah. So I still work buyers. She does probably 75% of my showings, but I still do work buyers. I still, that's the main reason for having a showing specialist, is so that I can shift my business to be more listings, focused. And because I'm about 60%, was this year about 60% buyers, 40% sellers, but I'd like to flip that. So I'm 60% sellers.
Right on. I love that. Wow, what a great market to do that in, right? Especially with the opportunities coming up in 2023. Right on. I love that. Is there anything that's working for you right now? Are there a few things working for you that maybe we should make a note of to get results? Anything you're focused on, any strategies that are making a difference for you? Anything that you want to advise us on or give us your feedback on?
I would say stick to your GPA.
Okay.
Stick to the basics. Like Gary Keller says, who gave you permission to go away from the basics? We know what works. It works in down markets, it works in up markets. And I think when people get a little bit nervous because the market is shifting, and then they try to get too creative and operate these new lead gen levers that they've never worked before, and they're not really sure about, and they spend money on all these different lead sources. If you just stick to the basics, try to get in front of people, try to provide value to people, try to be a resource for people with contractors and whatnot. And if you do that, your results are going to compound over time. It's a snowball rolling downhill. Whereas if you're just looking for that quick buck, like we've had the last couple of years, you're not going to find it. What you really got to do is you got to double down on your activities. You got to triple your conversion. You really got to put your head down, not put your head in the sand, but just put your head down and do the work.
Are you noticing in your market or in your business, are you having to do more contacts to get the same result? Or has that changed for you? Compared to last year, have you doubled activity, or is that necessary, or tripled, or what does that look like to keep kind of the same business or grow the business? What do you think, or what are you guys experiencing up there?
Yeah, I don't know that I would say I exactly doubled the activity, but I definitely increased the activity a lot, because it is true. We've had, before, if you had 10 contacts in a day, probably 8 of those contacts are going to be people that were like, yeah, I want to buy a house in the next couple months. I'll go get pre-approved right now. Whereas now it's like 8 of those people are like, yeah, I mean, I'd like to buy a house, but I'm kind of worried about the rates and I'm not sure if I can qualify, and the prices still haven't come down quite enough yet. So instead of those being hot buyers, they're more nurture or watch buyers. So you have to do a higher number of them each day to add into that funnel, that sales funnel. You got to throw them in the top so that by the time they get down to that hot stage where they're ready to actually buy a house, you have enough people that it is going to sustain your business.
How many, do you have a goal around contacts for yourself?
Yeah. So personally, my goal for the last couple of years, I've said I want to do 10 contacts a day. So
Mhm.
however many calls that takes me, I want to talk to 10 people about real estate a day. And we're upping that now where I'm going to be say 15 contacts a day. And we're also going to be doing extra open houses and more circle prospecting, which we had kind of gotten away from.
Okay, so strategy is go from 10 to 15 contacts a day. Is that Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday? What's that for you? Like
Monday
real
through Friday.
Monday through Friday. And is that just you or is that you and Nicole?
That's me personally. And then Nicole will also do 15. So between the two of us, 30.
Okay, so I just want to get that across to everyone because I imagined that that's what you would say. So between two people that just became 150 contacts a week as the commitment, as the goal, as opposed to 10 a day that used to be individually back then, and then adding circle prospecting back into your lead generation, and then adding more open houses. Love that. Totally. I know exactly what you mean. Very good. Very good. We've got 2 weeks left in the year. Knowing that obviously there's the temptation of just phoning it in the rest of the year, because we'll all be back in January. What's your advice on that? Has that worked for you in the past? Do you do that? If you do, how do you get back on track January? Walk us through kind of like the holidays, because you've been doing this for a few years now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I like to enjoy the holidays, but I feel like you can definitely enjoy the holidays and still do the same amount of work that you've done all year. There's no difference between, the last 2 weeks of December and the middle 2 weeks in July. There's really no material difference, except that it's cold. I don't know about down there, but up here it's cold. That's really all we got. So treating it the same as you do the rest of the year. It is a special time, but it's not a special time. It's like Chris was talking with those temporal landmarks. It's just another 2 weeks. And with everybody else mailing it in, it's easy for us to say, oh, well, nobody else is doing open houses. I might as well just watch Saturday morning cartoons. But that's the exact moment when you need to do the open house even more, because you're taking the opportunity that other people are leaving on the table. The agents who built their business in a down market like Ben did, that's not because he just sat around and was like, oh, well, the market's shitty, I'm not going to do any work. I'm going to do more work right now because other people are leaving that out on the table for me. So I would say putting your head down and really doubling down during this time is going to make a big difference, especially considering with our delayed gratification industry where you don't see the money for 30 to 60 days. Like if you want to have closings in January and February, you got to be hitting the road right now. Otherwise, you're going to be like 2 months into 2023, like, shoot, where's all my money? I got nothing.
So true. So true. Oh my goodness. Speaking of 2023 and January and February and the rest of the year, and December, who practically doesn't count because it's already going to be 2024 by that time. 2023 is probably going to be a challenging year. How are you planning to keep your mindset positive? How do you plan on staying focused? Not getting burnt out when realistically, you'll probably have to do 2 to 3 times the amount of work to just meet what you did this year. Like how do you wrap your brain around that? And what's your plan?
Yeah. So in regards to not getting burnt out when it takes 3 times the activity, I just try to keep some perspective about how hard our jobs really are. Like our jobs are stressful because of the amount of money that we're dealing with and the big, impact that we have on people's lives. But like drive by the dump and watch those people working at the dump, or people digging ditches, somebody doing hard manual labor, especially right now with the weather, in the cold weather. Like that's hard work. What we wear nice clothes and we sit in an office and we make calls. It's not that hard. I don't think personally. It can be stressful. It can be mentally draining, but at the end of the day, I go home safe. I don't have risk of my physical, bodily harm. It's not that bad. So I try to keep a little bit of perspective on that. And in terms of how to keep a positive mindset, it's a kind of a cliche, but focusing on what you can control. We have no control over what the rates do, what the Fed does. We have no control over what the market does, what the inventory is like. All we can control is our own mindset and our own activities. And if you keep on that track and you don't let the outside external forces, derail you, then it even if takes a little bit longer to get to your goals, you're going to get there, right? As long as you keep moving forward. And if we have a down year in the market, that's fine, because there's going to be a lot of other agents who let that get them out of the industry. And then there's going to be that opportunity for me to take over the business they otherwise would have had.
Man, right on, right on. I love that. And so much of life is about perspective, and so much of self-leadership, like you talked about earlier, which was your first experience with leadership, which is all of our first experience with self-leadership, is really making sure that our perspective up here, and controlling what we can control, like those are the things that we start building that foundation off of, so that we can really make it. 2023 will be a great year for a lot of people, guys. A really great year for a lot of people, and it could be us. It should be us. I've got a question, if you're open to it, that I didn't pre-plan, but it did come up in chat. Going back to you and Nicole's relationship, business relationship, since she is lead generating, is there, if you're comfortable sharing this answer, is there a different split or a different conversation when, maybe she did the open houses and she's bringing that to the business, as opposed to she's just following up with leads that you've had in your database for 3 years? What does that look like? That's something that popped up a couple times. And so I was like, well, if we can answer it, let's answer it.
Her split's the same for every deal that she works on, 15% of the GCI. And so she's been on 5 closings now. And I think 4 of those I had sourced. Only one of them she had sourced. So, it kind of balances out. Most of the time it's going to be a lead, because I've got about 1,800 leads in my personal database. So most of the time it's going to be a lead I've already been nurturing, and then she helps me with showings. But she also gets paid if she sources a listing. Like I've got a listing that just went live that she had just talked to a random guy on a job site, and he said he had a house to sell. So she's going to get 15% of that. And I've also added her on to some other deals where she didn't do as much. So I offered her a lower split. Like there was one where all she did was attend the inspection, but I wanted to get her feet wet and get her a little bit of money. So I offered her 10%, so it was pretty good ROI for her doing a 2-hour inspection, but
I love that. Is she on a salary of any kind, or just 15% of buyer deals?
Just the 15% of any deal that she touches.
I love that. And one thing that you mentioned just in passing right now that I wanted everybody to hear, one of the reasons that Ben is just such a huge champion of the leverage model, is that when you bring someone on like Nicole, who's got, grit, good work ethic, has the right mindset, and like circle the word and you've built a database that this person can work out of, like that's where magic happens, right? You didn't have 500 people in your database and, oh man, I got to get a showing specialist because
that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
It doesn't. We tried. Definitely doesn't work. 1,800 people built over the last 4.5 years. That's actually really, really amazing. So kudos to you. And man, it gives us inspiration of like how big of a business we can all grow. Anything else that I forgot to ask you, or we forgot to ask you, that you'd like to add?
I don't know. Not that I can really think of. I mean, if there's anything in particular that anybody on the call wants to ask, they're free to, but nothing that I can think of that you forgot.
I love that. You've been like one of the, like, I hate to say the easiest people to interview, but here's why. I watched before our call yesterday. I watched probably 3 or 4 different interviews where you had been on just doing interviews in the past. And it's really cool to see people's progression over time. Like you're very, everybody keeps saying that you're very chill. You come across great. I can see why you're successful. I love that. It's 7 o'clock now, your time. Absolutely. Will you pop your contact information into chat for us? That would be really awesome. Sure. What I would do, you guys, is I would I would just take your phone out and I would put in Aaron Bean, his cell phone number, and I would just put Bellingham and basically Northwest Washington. You ever get a referral for Northwest Washington or Washington anywhere? Bet you he knows somebody. If he doesn't cover it with him and Nicole, he knows somebody who does cover it. And you've already gotten to know him. You know who he is, how he does business. The reputation is there. And then, you know, like if you really like connected with him and you thought, man, you know what, I want to be the next Aaron Bean. Awesome. Keep in touch with him. This guy's going to be around for a long time. It doesn't happen often that Jolene and Ben both say, Aaron's somebody you need to interview. So definitely I'd pop him into my contact information. Couple things for us, just as we wrap up, guys. Those of you who are doing call night tonight, are you guys doing call night in Bellingham, by the way? Do you guys do that?
Oh yeah, we're doing Christmas PJs and a white elephant gift exchange.
Oh, that's cute. Okay, very cute. We will note that for next year. We're doing like a holiday in the lounge. It's kind of like a funky Christmas. So we're really excited about that in Austin. I don't know what's everybody else doing. If you guys do call nights, pop in what you're doing for call night tonight. We always follow the place cadences. It just makes my life easier. You guys are really cool that you guys do the same thing. Inventory creation day is coming up. Like January will be here right before we know it. And then the very first mass action day of the year is coming up January 11th. It's a Wednesday. So just like prep your like schedule for like being available to just go get into mass action January 11th with like the rest of all the place teams. It's going to be really awesome. I love to see like what is possible on those days and how we stretch ourselves. All right, ugly sweater call night in San Antonio. Bart, you guys are never boring. But you know what? Doing the right activity is never boring. You guys are awesome. Love that. Love that. We will see you guys in the new year. And it'll be exciting, and hopefully you really got something out of this. I'm going to pop it into our a playlist for all of our Texas Power Ups, where we have, you know, hundreds of them by now. And we're really appreciative of Aaron. Thank you so much, Aaron, for joining us this morning. And Texas, you guys are awesome. We'll see you in the new year. Go get them. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.